Hello everybody, this is Hammer Striker here. I've got a couple of classic pistols on the table, or in this case a newer version of a classic and an older version of a classic. I've got a Sig Sauer P226 MK25 or Mark 25, and I've got a Beretta M9A3. Both of these are your classic metal bodied, they're all both aluminum, double action, single action guns. These are really fun to shoot at the range, either one of these. So let's talk about these a little bit. And first I'll take the 15 round magazine that comes with the Sig. You get two of them, at least at the time that we got this one. And it is unloaded. And the Beretta comes with three 17 round magazines. Both of these guns are available in 10 round versions for states that have restrictions. So in most cases, from wherever you're looking at this, at least in the United States, chances are pretty good you can get a version of this that you can actually have. The 17 round magazines are really nice in the Beretta. It gives it a decent amount of capacity and actually in a smaller footprint. So let's briefly talk about the size of these. So the Beretta is 8.7 inches long front to back, so it's actually longer than the Sig, which comes in at 8.2 with the threaded barrel, 7.7 with the flush mount barrel. Now I don't see the threaded version of this on their site anymore, but at one time you could buy threaded like this one, or you could get a standard non-threaded barrel. And the only difference is the barrel would end closer to the end here, it's about a ½ inch shorter, but the rest of the gun is identical. You might still be able to find a couple of these available in new old stock, but I don't think they're making them anymore with the threaded barrel. The M9A3 only comes with the threaded barrel. That's the only version that's available. From a color schemes, as you can see, the M9A3 is flat dark earth, and that was the original version of the M9A3 when it was first introduced. It was part of the MHS trials. It was not chosen by the military, but they had set it up for that purpose. It's now available in an assortment of colors, with either green frame, black slide, and vice versa. You can get it in an assortment of different colors. The Sig, the MK25 or Mark 25, is only available in black, just like you see it here. However, the 226 line itself is available in an assortment. It comes in a Legion version, an Equinox version, which has got that black and silver on the slide. Nightmare comes in an Emperor Scorpion, which is kind of a flat dark earth, similar to this, but more consistent in the colors. It's not different versions of flat dark earth. And it also comes in an optics ready version. So the 226 line is diverse, but the MK25 is specifically what you see is what you get from a color scheme. Now when I mentioned dimensions and I said that the Beretta was a smaller package and then proceeded to tell you how it was actually longer, it's smaller in every other dimension. So if I put it next to the Sig, it's shorter. Now it does end up being a little bit longer because it has a higher base plate on the magazine and the Sig has a flush magazine. But before you put the magazines in, the Sig is taller. When you do put the magazines in, it ends up being about the same height. The Beretta is 1.3 inches thick, and the Sig is 1.5 inches thick. Not a significant difference, but it is smaller. And the Sig weighs 34 ounces, where the Beretta weighs 33.4 ounces. Again, not a significant difference. They're fairly close together. The Beretta is just a hair smaller if you kind of average all of the different dimensions and weight and everything else. But it's not such that it's going to really make your decision for you. If you're looking for one of these guns, you're already expecting it to be on the larger side. These are full-size service weapon size guns. You're expecting it to be a little heavier than the Polymer Wonders that are out there today. And part of that is what makes these so nice to shoot. Both of these are wonderful to shoot at the range. They really mitigate recoil. They fit well in your hand. They're contoured. You can replace the grips on both of these. They unscrew, both of them, and this one's a wraparound. So the Beretta, you have kind of a wraparound grip. And the Sig kind of wraps around kind of the same concept, but it does it differently. It's kind of a clamshell. You'll see there's a division right here. So these two grip pieces are kind of L-shaped and they unscrew when they pop off. The Beretta does come within the box with the flat grip handles that would eliminate the wraparound, and you can see the grip texture that would be exposed to you if you took that off. And that's all in the box the way it comes available to you. That, of course, would make the gun thinner. That's how you would actually achieve the 1.3 inches that the gun is rated at on their site. With this wraparound grip, it actually ends up being a little bit fatter because of the grip. And it's a rubber overmold type grip, and it's really comfortable to use. Functionally, they're both have rails. You can see they both have a 3-slot Picatinny rail, so you can put whatever accessory it is that you want to put on them. Both of them are easy to take down. The Beretta, you push a button, and it's very light push. Flip the lever, and the slide comes right off. The 226, you pull down the lever, slide comes right off. Neither one of these do you have to pull the trigger to disassemble them, which is common with DASA guns. Because there's not a striker mechanism that's tensioned in the slide, you usually do not have to pull the trigger. Now, there are a few differences in the safety mechanisms. Both of them have piston-style drop safeties that are internal. The SIG comes in a decocker only. These are not meant to be carried cocked and locked. They are drop safe when they're decocked, and the decocker does decock them safely. So you carry this hammer down. It's a double action gun at that point. It's about a 10-pound-ish pull. And of course, it would, if you fired it, it would cycle. It's easier to do that if I don't have the magazine in it. Then it would be single action mode, and you notice it has a very, very short reset. That little bit of a click, and I'm right on the wall. And then a round of 4.5-pound break. Very, very nice trigger on this. The Beretta is equally nice. We'll start this in double action mode. Same roughly 10-pound pull. It's smooth. It is a little bit longer. It gives you the impression that it stacks at the end. It really doesn't. It's just as your finger moves through the travel, you start to get past where your finger is optimal at pulling. It's a little bit longer. When I'm sitting here at a bench and I'm playing with the two triggers, the SIG's a nicer trigger. When I'm at the range, you kind of don't notice it. The reset is similar. Let me pop the magazine while I got the trigger back. The reset is similar. A little bit longer reset on the Beretta, and a little bit of take up to get back on the wall versus the SIG. And then a really crisp, short single action break. I would say that the single action triggers on these are about equal. And from a trigger break perspective, this series has the SRT trigger, short reset trigger, available. And that really shortens up the reset. With the standard SIG trigger, if you don't have the short reset version of it, the reset on this would be roughly equal to the Beretta. So from a trigger perspective, other than a shorter double action pull on the SIG, these triggers are fairly equal. Now, I mentioned safeties on the 226. The safety on the Beretta is on the slide, and that's consistent with the whole Beretta 92 series that this is based on. And when you put the safety on, it locks it down. Now, if I had it cocked, it would have decocked, and now I can't cock it, so I'm going to put the safety back off. I'm going to cock it. It's ambidextrous, so I can do it from this side. It decocks it, and it stays down. It's a safety. I can't carry this cocked and locked because it won't stay cocked. However, I can also get a decocker only version of this. And the only difference is the G version is when I pushed it down, when I let go, it would snap back up on its own. You still can't carry it cocked and locked, but now you're a decocker function, same as the SIG, without the extra safety, the extra step to flick a safety off. So both of these guns are designed to be carried hammer down with or without a safety on the Beretta, and as is with the P226, and both of them using internal drop safeties to make them safe. So whichever gun you want to have, you've got the same basic safety capabilities, but the Beretta gives you that extra safety for those that like a thumb safety. One note I'll make before I talk about the sights: the thread protector on the SIG has to be removed to disassemble the gun. You'll see it's larger than the opening in the slide, so you can't pull the barrel out without removing that. The Beretta is one of the few that you don't have to remove the thread protector. You can pull the barrel out with the thread protector on, so there's no reason to mess with this. It's got unscrew it a little bit, you'll see it's got an O-ring that helps retain it in place, so you're not having to constantly mess with it and retighten it every time you fire the gun. That can make a difference just from a nuisance when you're trying to clean it, but overall it's not a really big deal because these are easy to remove. And what I just did there, I tried to turn it and you notice it didn't go, and I had turned the opposite direction. That is one difference with the SIG. It has the left-hand thread, which is common with SIGs. The Beretta has the standard half by 28 that US users are used to. So you may not, if you've got a regular half by 28 can, whether or not you can get pistons for it, the Beretta will just work. The SIG, chances are pretty good if you've got a can that you've used on other guns. It has the half by 28, so you'd have to either get an adapter or a different piston or another suppressor that was left-hand thread to work with it. That may influence your decision because there can be some cost involved there. These guns are roughly the same cost. They're in the $1,100-ish street price when they were available. Right now everything's kind of either hard to get or overpriced, but both of these are in the $1,200 to $1,300 MSRP territory. This one, you can actually, I've seen it before everything got nasty. This one was going on sale frequently in the $900 range. So they vary a little bit in the pricing, but the Beretta was definitely a little bit less expensive at a time. And of course, these are what you might consider the top of the line versions of these two. There are variations of these themes that are a lot less expensive, especially if you go back here on the Beretta 92 series. You can get Beretta 92s prior to everything getting ugly around the $600 territory, which is going to have the majority of the same features and functional operation. Both of these guns have night sights, but you can see already that the SIG has the SIG-Light night sights. And the advantage of the SIG-Light night sights is they're almost as bright as regular white dot and daytime only sights during the day, and then you have that nighttime capability. The white ring around them make them really easy to see and stand out. The Beretta is almost as good. It looks really bright here because we're under studio lighting. At the range, the Beretta will gray out just a little bit. I could still see it, I could still pull nice groups with it. The sights were still very easy to use compared to some night sights, but I would say that the SIG-Light night sights beat them in overall usability, especially during the day at the range where you're going to be a lot of your time. Those SIG-Light night sights are just kind of hard to beat. The sights on both of these are replaceable if you were to want to change them out, and that's one thing that the M9A3 differs from some others in the Beretta 92 series. Some of the Beretta 92s, the sight is actually milled into the slide and not changeable like that Inox that we've got. But this version is dovetailed and you can change it, and of course the SIG, you can change the sights. So if you buy them and the sights aren't to your liking, you want to do something different with the sights, it's an option available to you. From a functional perspective, both of these have been reliable. Both of these have eaten whatever it is we've put through them, from junk ammo up to good ammo. I don't think you would go wrong if you picked one or the other from a reliability standpoint. And though this has got the open slide, and I've read a whole bunch of, well, it could happen, stories about stuff potentially getting in there, I haven't really heard any it did happen stories. I haven't heard any problems with stuff getting down into this and jamming the gun. And then, of course, if something did get in there, most likely you turn it upside down, you better shake it out because there's nothing to really trap it. So I haven't had any functional or reliability problems with either one of these guns. Both of them are nothing but a pleasure to shoot at the range. With 9mm and a heavier gun, they really absorb the recoil. Actually, in all reality, you'd probably be more likely to get stuff back in the hammer area, which is, in any hammer-based gun would be the issue. But since I'm not planning on dragging these behind the Jeep up through the green swamp before I shoot them, I'm really not worried about either one of these malfunctioning. Overall, if you're looking for a hammer-fired gun, especially a DASA hammer-fired gun, one of these classics, this is the type of gun most likely you're looking for. It's either that or you're looking for a 1911, which is a whole different animal in and of itself. But I would say I couldn't tell you one is better than the other. It's really going to come down to probably most likely the safety mechanism, what you prefer from a safety mechanism and operation, more so than it is going to be one being better or one being significantly less expensive than the other, especially right now where everything's hard to find and expensive. So I would almost say if you're looking for this style gun and you're thinking between the two of these, the first one you find in stock, probably that's the one. Beyond that, if you like our videos, please give us a thumbs up. Check us out on Facebook, Patreon, Instagram, Twitter, well, at least for now with all the banning that's going on. And have a nice day. Thank you.